Question number 8, Dr. David Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Economic Development and asks, when did his officials first learn of SkyCity's desire for a public funding top-up in order for the International Convention Centre to meet the preliminary design specifications?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, and I'm cautious in light of recent events, but it's quite a long answer to get some detail out for the member. As I've previously advised the House, I was advised of the cost escalation of the preliminary design in a briefing dated the 15th of October. I'm advised that SkyCity's preliminary design was delivered to MB officials on the 6th of October. The preliminary design included an estimated construction cost which exceeded the agreed amount by 70 to 130 million. I made it clear to MB officials that as much as possible any cost escalation should be designed out in the final design, and that of the various options then being discussed by SkyCity and MB for closing the funding gap, our least preferred option was any form of government contribution. Following further discussions between officials and SkyCity, SkyCity accepted that position by way of a market update on 15th February 2015 and agreed to amend the design to ensure no financial contribution was required.
A point of order, Dr. David Clark.
Mr. Speaker, this was a question on notice. The Minister has referred to the time when a report was delivered, but he hasn't answered the question, which is pretty clear and I think non-political. It's seeking a date when his officials first learnt of SkyCity's desire.
I listened to the answer. I thought there were some dates that given were reasonably specific. Does the Minister have anything further to add? Otherwise, we'll move.
Well, I think perhaps I could just by way of explanation. I think the difficulty is in terms of the question, and the member speaks of a desire for a public funding top-up. And I don't think that's, certainly officials have been through, they don't see that being actually expressed as a desire. It was officials and MB officials and SkyCity looking at options to address the issue.
We'll move forward with further supplementary. Supplementary question, Dr. David Clark.
Okay, in light of that answer, and in light of clause 9.5 of the New Zealand International Convention Centre deal, stating that each design phase will be developed collaboratively between the Crown and SkyCity, why was the Minister kept in the dark during election year about the possibility of a budget blowout or the need to downgrade the Convention Centre's iconic design?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker, for the member's benefit, to give him a bit of a feel for it, the preliminary design, when it was delivered to MB, was a total of 10 kilograms of documents that had to be delivered across a whole range of information. So yes, there was collaborative elements in terms of discussion with officials, but my understanding is that then at the end of that process, SkyCity goes off and gets its costings and then delivers it, and I was advised as soon as reasonably practical after the information was delivered.
Supplementary question, Dr.
So that was a question about the collaboration aspect. Is the Minister saying that that 10 kilos of documents were delivered without any collaboration?
That's exactly the way the member now needs to proceed. The question's been addressed. The member's got additional supplementaries. Don't raise them as a point of order. Raise them as a supplementary question to the Minister. Supplementary question, Dr. David Clark.
Is the Minister saying that the collaboration was limited between officials and SkyCity to the extent that 10 kilograms of documents were delivered before officials had anything to do with the development of the design?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
No, I'm not saying that, Mr. Speaker. What I'm saying is that there was collaboration over elements of the design as the process continued, but actually the costing of the design was done by SkyCity as part of the finalisation of that process, and that was presented to officials on the date was described as the 6th of October.
Supplementary question, Dr. David Clark.
Was the Minister aware the preliminary design phase was scheduled to run from June to September 2014? And if so, why did the Minister not inquire as to prospective changes in Crown costs during election year?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker, actually, the member may recall that I've been saying in the House previously that the concept design phase, there was a prediction of a smaller cost overrun, which was agreed that would be designed out during the preliminary design phase. Officials and SkyCity went off to do that and reported back to me, as I say, on the 15th of October 2014. at which point they advised that it had not been able to occur, and in fact it had come to a larger amount, and all this is in the public domain.
Supplementary question, Dr. David Clark.
Given the legal expectation that each design phase would be a collaboration between SkyCity and the Crown, is he currently engaged in the design process?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, I have had some very little advice in terms of the process that's been going through currently to control costs around the convention centre. But again, it's a discussion around potential changes to the design, and matters in relation to cost would be determined at the end of that process, and in any event is now to SkyCity's cost. But there will, as I said to the member Materia Ture at some points, is that there will be a balancing exercise at the end which will look at the overall cost and additional benefits to SkyCity, and making sure that the net cost exceeds the value of the concessions.
Supplementary question, Dr. David Clark.
Why do a series of briefings released under the Official Information Act, including a briefing for the Prime Minister, refer to a September preliminary design?
Honourable Stephen Joyce. Well, I presume because, as the member referred earlier, I don't recall the particular briefing, but I presume it's because that was the plan. But of course, as the member knows, it was delivered on the 6th of October. It was delivered on the 6th of October, and then I was briefed on the 15th of October.
Supplementary question.
Point of order.
Point of order. Dr. David Clark.
I seek leave to table a briefing for the Prime Minister from November 2014, referring to a September preliminary design.
Is it official information?
Yes.
Leave us all to table that particular document. Is there any objection? There is none. It can be tabled. Question number 9, Matt Ducey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is